I come from royalty, and I think knowing that has always been very inspirational for me. My great grandparents were not slaves. I started working with my friends and helping them, pass out flyers and tell people about the event and, and get people in the clubs. I went to Howard University. And I graduated from Howard University. But while I was at Howard, I was studying television and film production and working on TV sets and working on films. And I was like, this is the life. I'm telling you, that changed the game for me, actually having a strategy. So I was like, oh my God, thank you. You got to have a lot of strength as an entrepreneur, and seeing that and being around that really helped me become the woman that I am today. I saw this woman, this Black woman, and she was just beautiful. That woman changed the game for me. She taught me how to be a coach. She taught me the systems, the marketing, the strategy, the business model, how to coach.
Holding me.
Hello, family. This is Ari Squires, and welcome to another episode of the Release the Chains podcast, where we have real, raw, and revolutionary discussions helping people just like you release your mental, emotional, financial, and generational chains for good. So today I'm here with a solo episode. I feel like I've never really taken anyone down my full journey of how I was able to reclaim my destiny, right? The ugly stuff, not just the success, not just the good things, but of course I'm going to share a lot of the good stuff too. But the failures, the lawsuits, the betrayal, the hating ass friends, the mistakes, the things I wish I would have never done, the losses, you know what I'm saying? Like all that grimy, dirty, messy stuff that I think is important that we understand. Being that I'm a brand manager, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and not even just working with them, because I work with a different type of entrepreneur. Typically, I work with the entrepreneur who's already had success, so they've been through a lot of the stuff that I've been through already. But I do consultations a lot, or I'll do like some one-off coaching sessions with some entrepreneurs who are new in the game. And I realize that a lot of people are not ready for all the grimy stuff that comes with being an entrepreneur. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share this ugly road to reclaiming my destiny. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the very, 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 very beginning. Now I have an outline here because I wanted to make sure that I didn't skip anything. So what I think is important, like I said, I believe we can learn from people's mistakes. I know I have, and you'll see that as I explain and share my journey. I've learned from other people. I've learned from what they've done to be successful, but also the mistakes they've made as well, in having my own. So I have an outline just to make sure that I don't skip anything, because there's so many pertinent details that I want to make sure. So I want to first talk about my history. I want to talk about the beginning. I come from royalty, like for real. Like my so my great grandmother and grandfather were farmers. Now our family owns 13 acres of land in Mississippi. But before that, I think it was double, because they ended up selling another portion of it, on the other side. And they were farmers. They were entrepreneurs. This was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Okay. And I got a picture of them with their horse and, just looking all good, just looking all beautiful, on their land, their farm. They also had, from what I heard, was the best molasses in Mississippi. That's what they sold. That's what they were known for. So I come from royalty. And I think knowing that has always been very inspirational for me. I remember when me and my family, as I was a child, I probably was in middle school, maybe. I know I was in high school. It had to be middle school. And we went and visited our family there in Pontotoc, Mississippi, very small town. Only about 4,000 or 6,000 people live there. And I remember just seeing the dirt roads and this amazing community, and seeing all this land that my family owned. We own a church. We have a cemetery there. My uncle has his property, the acres and acres of property. Also, my other uncle, I think it was Uncle John. Yeah, Uncle John. Ooh, rest in peace, Uncle John. He was so cool. But he owned a hot dog, French fry, burger restaurant, little stand. And I remember as a child going in and working, in his business, knowing that it was his, right? Because coming from Sacramento, California, I didn't know any entrepreneurs, especially not in middle school, at that age. And so it was such a inspiration. It kind of just put something in me where I knew that eventually I wanted to have the same type of story. Of course, at that time, I just didn't know where and how it would turn out. But that was the first thing. That was the beginning, just coming from royalty. Also, my grandmother on my father's side, my paternal grandmother. Now, that's all my life I saw her hustle. She was like the candy lady. You know the candy lady, right? The lady who's selling the candy. She was selling ices, and she had, her garden in the back. All the kids would come and get candy and ices for her. And I remember this thing that she said to me, which was a lesson for me, when I had opened the door, and she said, "Get the door. Somebody wants an icy." I think they were 25 cents. And I, instead of opening the door and getting the money and then going and getting the icy, what I did was I got the icy, took it to the door, gave it to the kid without getting the money. And so when I had came back into my grandmother's home, the first thing she said to me was, "Did you get the money?" Did you get the money? And I felt so bad, because I was just so excited just to, work for my grandma and give them the icy. I totally forgot to get the money. And so what I learned at a very young age is that, because my grandmother was not happy, you hear me? She was not happy, because you feel like you got, right? And that's one thing. We don't like to feel like somebody has got us. That's one thing. We don't want to feel like that at all. And so my grandmother was not happy about that. But what I learned was, you need cash flow in order for the business to thrive. Cash flow, the business needs cash, period. Point blank, period. And that was something that she told me. She was like, "Hey, we can't be giving things away for free, and we got to make sure that we get paid." And it was just those little nuggets that she gave me, and how she was always hustling. She always had something to make, something to sell, anything she could do to just bring in some additional income, which I found to be very impressive, in my opinion.
No more chains holding me.
And so another lesson I had at a very young age was also when I was in middle school. I had a girlfriend, her name was Shauna, and she comes from a white family, and they weren't super wealthy or anything like that, but they had money, right? They had a very nice new home that I think was built with a swimming pool in the backyard. We used to have swim parties and all of these things. And that was one of my best friends. And I remember I used to spend the night over there all the time. Like, her house was the spot, her grandmother lived with her. It was her cousin lived with her. Her mom, her and her brother, I think, her brother and sister. No, maybe it was just her sister. And so they owned a gas station and like a quick stop. And so I remember when I was young that her dad would have me and Shauna and her brothers and sisters come in and just load up, the food and, put all the little stickers on the cans and the boxes, and you know, everybody else was complaining and tired, right? Like the employees, the people that actually work there, not the family. But me, I was excited knowing that this was theirs. Like, you know, like when do you know the owner, right? Like the store owner, store that you frequent and go to, that gas station all the time was right on the corner, right across from Jim Boy's. Jim Boy's on, I think, Stockton Boulevard, if you're from Sacramento. So I was very familiar with this place, and it was just so dope to see, for one, the family coming together for their legacy, for a business that they purchased, that they all ran together. And it was something that was very important to them in their home. And it was something that they all collectively did together for the legacy of their family. And so my 3 lessons here, you guys, number 1, when it comes to my great grandparents, is knowing that Black people, number 1, can be wealthy. Okay. Cause 13 plus acres in Mississippi in the late 1800s and 1900s, that's pretty impressive. And also, from what I know, my great grandparents were not slaves. We tend to believe, because that's what we've been told, these lies, right? That all of our ancestors, or all the Black people, African Americans that are here in America, we've been told that they were all slaves. And I don't believe that. I believe that we were here before they started bringing over the slaves that they brought over. And that's a whole nother topic we can talk about another time. But knowing that I come from royalty is so dope. So that was good for me. And then another lesson I learned, which was good, is that, again, cash flow is important. If not, your business will fail. And then the family business, and seeing how this family really stuck together for the legacy of their family. That was my early introduction to entrepreneurship.
No more chains holding me.
All right, so next I want to talk about my young adulthood. I ain't had no business. So I grew up, as I mentioned, in Sacramento, California, where it was really heavy with drugs and violence and gangs and, you know, all of that stuff. So I grew up in, the late 80s, early 90s. Okay. When drugs and crack cocaine and marijuana, of course, has always been very popular, but gang violence was very heavily in my community, especially California. Bloods and Crips was just, I was a Blood, then I was a Crip, then I was a Blood, then I was a Crip. It really depended on who I was dating at the time, but I wasn't no real gangbanger. I wasn't out there fighting. I wasn't being initiated into anything like that, but I did hang with a lot of different groups that were gang affiliated, because that's all it was. I mean, you couldn't help but, you know, somebody in your family, have family members that were gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? You can't help, like, real gangbangers. And so with that comes violence. With that comes abuse. With that comes death and jail. So for me, though, since I was so into just being independent mentally in my mind, I saw the drug life and the street life, because there's a lot that goes into that, as interesting. It was fun. It was exciting to me. I saw like freedom, because there were a couple of gentlemen that I dated that I was very close to, still friends to this day, actually, that taught me a lot about the game, the drug game, to where I learned so much that I started my own my own little drug business. And it was fun. Even though it was illegal, it was still a process of doing business. So one of my guy friends, he was more the flashy, the more, out there, flamboyant, like everybody knew what he was about. And then I had another friend that was very low key with his success. And he was like a kingpin, like nobody could touch him. You couldn't have access to him. He had all the money. You understand what I'm saying? All the respect, but very low key, what I would call now to this day silent money, right? And so I learned from both of them how they moved, how they spoke on the phone, how they made negotiations. And these people were definitely like super sweet, like nice people. They were just, just in a different business, right? Had teams, had employees, had staff, like for real. Like, I know some of y'all laughing, but at the end of the day, it is still a business when it's ran properly. It's just, we all know what happens when, you're in that lifestyle. It's only one of two things, right? It's either, three. It's three. It's actually one of three things. It's either jail, dead, or you get out. And luckily for me and most of my friends, most of them, not all, were able to get out. Unfortunately, one of my boyfriends that I really learned a lot from is still incarcerated to this day. So it's not something to play with. However, it did introduce me to entrepreneurship. But guess where it landed me? In jail, right? So I got out of that real quick. But like I said, I learned a lot about how creating your own destiny and your own journey and having your own time freedom. I mean, these guys were traveling whenever they wanted to. They had access to capital. They had access to money. They were starting other businesses, record labels, doing all different types of things with their money. And I was like, okay, I see how this can be flipped. I see how you're supposed to stack. That's what you call it. You're supposed to stack your money. You're supposed to save it. You're supposed to, hold on to it so that you can reinvest it either in your business or reinvest it in something else that's legal or not legal, right? But it's all about multiplication. And for me, I learned, okay, all right. So when I make this money, I don't want to go spend it. I want to make sure that I'm utilizing the cash flow that's coming in the business in order to be able to buy something later or use it to grow the company or the business. So I use that now. Even now, the way I have my business structured is I have a corporation. I have my main corporation, and then all of the money in my corporation goes through that entity. And then with that money, I take it and then I feed it into my other LLCs to grow those companies, whether it be marketing, whether it be teams, whether it be whatever it is, just to put into the business, to invest into the business so that there's a return on investment. And so then I'm making money from those 4 LLCs, and that money still goes into the corporation, of course, after all expenses and things have been paid. And so that's just how I've always looked at it. That's always how I've structured, my businesses. And of course, I'm doing it legally now, right? Of course, or I would not be here. And so that was important for me to understand. So yeah, even though it was, not a good life to live and nothing to brag about, I still learned a lot from these guys who had the mindset, the resiliency, the determination, the tenacity, you know what I'm saying, to stay in the game and just be tough. And, you got to have a lot of strength as an entrepreneur, and seeing that and being around that really helped me become the woman that I am today.
No more chains holding me.
So after, I had got out of, no. This was during the time I was still hustling. Or was it? No, I'm sorry. It was actually after. I had some friends that were in the party business, doing clubs and poetry sessions and, grown folks, events and things like that. And so I saw it as, because I didn't want to work. I'm telling you, like I've just been the type of person where I've always felt like I can get it on my own. I never wanted to be confined. And see, this is the difference between like entrepreneurs who really stay in the game for a long time. We are like, what's the word? Like, I can't figure the word, but really like trailblazers. Like, we're hard headed too. Like, we don't like to be confined into doing something on somebody else's time and getting paid pennies for it and not being respected. Like, we have a different mindset. That's why what I've learned when it comes to entrepreneurs, those people are who are really successful. They have a different type of mindset. Like, their hustle and is so different than anybody else's. For one, you don't hear a lot of excuses from people who have that type of mindset. You will see them taking a lot of risks, like risks that most people, like, I know I was listening to the lady Kaleidoscope, who owns Kaleidoscope, which is the hairline. And she was saying, listen, I will spend my very last to pour into my business before I go and work for anybody else or whatever, because she believes so deeply in herself. And let me tell you something. There has been many a times that I have put in my last because I knew there was going to be a return on it, because I believed in myself. There's been plenty of live events that I went into with no money. I mean, barely making it. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, live events, especially the conferences, the multiple day conferences, those things are expensive, like 20,000, anywhere from 10, anywhere, depending on how you're doing it, anywhere from 5 to 25,000, anywhere from 5 to 100,000. Okay. They are extremely, extremely expensive. And a lot of times for me at the beginning, until I learned how to do things right, I was spending money on things I didn't need to be spending money on, like gift bags and making the event all pretty and all that stuff. And then I realized people weren't coming for that. People were coming for the information. They were coming for the knowledge. So I began to invest my money into that more, because that's what people were coming to my events for. They didn't care about no balloons and cute little, sparkly, photos. And they didn't care. They didn't care about that. Right. And so I learned how to do things better. But like I said, there's fear, but it's like, we're fearful, but we still do it. Like, we just take risks, right? we gonna get it done. I'm trying to figure out where I was at, but, we would definitely get it done. So I started working with my friends and helping them, pass out flyers and tell people about the event and, and get people in the clubs. You know what I'm saying? Now, one friend, I was just doing it just because, but another friend, which was a guy friend, which I've always mainly worked with guys. It was his business, but we went in it together. Right. So once we did our first event, it was so funny. It was so funny to me. It looked very successful. Now, again, mind you, I didn't know anything about the club business. I'm learning, right? I'm just trying to do anything I can so I don't have to go work for somebody. Anything I could do so I did not have to punch in on the clock and all that stuff, right? So while I was still hustling, and working a job. I worked at Wells Fargo. I worked at a credit union. I worked at JCPenney selling jewelry. I did all that. You know what I'm saying? I was doing these things at the same time. Like, I had them all going on at the same time because, look, I was going to make some money. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain lifestyle and certain luxury and excellence that I like to have, and I will make sure that I get that, right? So I did a lot. So after our first event that we did, I was like, okay, that was successful. That was dope, right? I was like, okay, where's my cut, right? He laughed in my face. He was like, how do you expect to get paid when you didn't put no money up? You should have told me that before I sat out here and handed out these damn flyers and got all these people in the room. You should have told me that before I agreed to do this. I'm thinking this was a partnership. But then I respected it. I understood it. You get what I'm saying? But guess what that taught me? That taught me that I need to do my own shit. It taught me that I need to do my own shit. I need to have my own entity, my own business, and build my own empire instead of trying to go sit at somebody else's table. You hear me? Because people would treat you like shit. But like I said, I respect it because he was right. I didn't put up any money. I didn't pay for the DJ. I didn't pay for the venue. I didn't do none of that, even though he didn't have to pay for the venue because they had a split with the bar and the club, right? But I know he made some money, even though he said he broke even, but that's cool, right? That's fine. Listen, this is a part of entrepreneurship. I have been burned a few times. I've even burnt somebody once before, and I feel really bad about that. It was a really long time ago. I wish I knew how to get in touch with this. Was long time ago. It was just shady, so I've been on both sides of that, and it doesn't feel good. So I don't know how people can run around, doing all this shady stuff that I'm going to share a little bit later as well. But all of us at one time or another get burned. We get got. And I'm telling you, I hate when somebody try to get over on me. I don't care if it's $5, $2, $1, $3, 4 quarters. I don't care. Pay me what you owe me. Let's be fair. Let's do business the way business is supposed to be done. So that taught me a whole bunch of lessons. But the main thing was, okay, Ari, all right, how can you establish your own brand, do your own marketing, put up your own money, build your own empire? So that was a lesson in that.
No more chains holding me.
My name is Anthony Melvin. I am the owner and program director of I'm Global Sports. I'm Global Sports is an athletic training company. We use strength training and we use speed and agility and plyometric training to complement that. When you come to I'm Global, you're getting everything under the sun. You're going to be doing Olympic lifts. You're going to be jumping on 36-inch boxes. That's the kind of environment we have here. It's an intense environment. We play our favorite music in here, and the camaraderie here is unmatched. So our approach is, we don't care what the weight is. We care that you do everything correctly. Do it correct first, okay? It's athletic training, so it's a load and explode concept. It's appendicular movement, and it has to be done in unison. So as long as you follow instructions, everything will work itself out. If you struggle, that is okay. Like Frederick Douglass said, without no struggle, there's no progress, right? When you get to the other side of that struggle, where you're successful at what you're doing, now you understand what it takes to be great. And we teach that here. We can get a bunch of kids in here to work in unison and get out of here doing 25 to 30 different routines of work and doing it injury-free. If you want to be challenged, you need to come see me. I'll challenge you. I sure will. The main piece of what we do is work hard for something you want. And if they can do that and be successful, then I've done my job.
No more chains holding me.
All right, so the big shift. I had to lose it all to gain it all. But before I go there, I want to talk about that brief moment in when I did get caught up in the streets and I was doing too much. I was being reckless. I was being, I wasn't I was being a little too careless, just doing stupid stuff. I wasn't thinking things through. Now, mind you, I graduated top of my class. I graduated early. I was a straight A student. I was just using my smarts in a way that wasn't really serving me, but I didn't really know at that time. It was just about being independent. It was about creating this destiny and creating this legacy for myself and doing what I wanted to do without being under somebody else's umbrella. So during that time when I was in jail, I realized that this wasn't where I wanted to be. And I knew that if I continued on with that lifestyle and hanging around those people, that I really would end up like a lot of those women that I met while I was incarcerated. They had no future. They had no hope. They didn't have really much of anything. They didn't have any support. They didn't have anything, money, no place, no pot to piss in, as they say. And I said, oh, no. I am better than this. I am smarter than this. My mama raised me better than this. I'm educated. I'm going to get out here and I'm going to be an inspiration. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that my life and my story is going to inspire somebody to release whatever chains they have, whatever they're going through. Because I was going through some mental stuff. I was going through some identity crisis. I was going through trying to find myself, some self-esteem issues, all kind of stuff I was going through mentally that I had to work on. You get what I'm saying? Trying to please my mother and do what she wanted me to do all at the same time. So that was my journey, and I had to release those things, and I released all of that while I was incarcerated. And most people go through that when they're incarcerated. They say all this stuff. They say they ain't never coming back, and then they end up going back. But the last time, the last time I was in jail, a very short stint, I never did prison or anything like that. I really did not go back. I knew that I had to make a change. So I met my husband, who was my fiance at the time, and we moved to Virginia, very small town, Fredericksburg, Virginia, very, very small town. And I went to Howard University. And I graduated from Howard University. But while I was at Howard, I was studying television and film production and working on TV sets and working on films. And I was like, this is the life, right? But I'm still an entrepreneur. Look, I still got to eat. I still want to buy fancy things. I still want to go on vacations. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was in that lifestyle, right? Listen, I was dating football, NBA players, baseball players, basketball players, like for real. Like I was living that life. So they was flying me to Chicago, to Boston, to LA. I was back and forth in LA. Like I lived there. I never wanted a boyfriend because I was independent. When nobody holding me down, none of that. I wanted to be free. I was getting what I could get, learning from these folks, getting into their mind, having deep conversations like I still do today. I still enjoy a really dope conversation. And so what was I saying? So that was my journey. I knew that I didn't want to go back. And so moving to the DC area, Virginia, DC, Maryland area, I was still an entrepreneur. So while I was in college, I was working at the college. Me and my husband started a business, selling contact lenses. Because at that time, the little color contact lens, the little grays and the blues and the green, that was very popular. And you didn't need a prescription in order to change your eye color. So, we got the hookup, and I was managing a beauty supply store, like all of these things. And the beauty supply store, you guys, get this, was owned by a Black woman. A beauty supply store owned by a Black woman. The only one from Fredericksburg, Virginia. I would say, how many miles was that? Maybe, I don't know how many miles Fredericksburg was from DC. It's about a 45-minute drive, right? And that woman, she ended up I'm not saying names because I just don't want to say names, but her and her family took us in. Literally took us in when we moved to Virginia, because when we moved there, we only knew one person, just one person. That's it. And that was my uncle. He's like my uncle. He was my cousin, who was my cousin by marriage, her father. And he helped us, we moved into his girlfriend's townhouse, me and my husband. And my mom paid our rent for the first 3 months or the first 6 months. I think it was 3 months until we got on our feet. My husband got a job doing radio in Richmond, Virginia, and he was DJing, and I was working and running my businesses and shampooing hair on the side. Listen, I was going to get to the bags. That's just how I've always been. Like, I know many of you listening are, right? We're going to get to the bag. We ain't going to sit down and just settle. You understand? While I'm going to school full time, one semester I took 20 credits. I was doing the most, and raising my daughter, who was, goodness, let me see, elementary, middle school, and high school. Shoot, through all that. Elementary, middle school, high school. Because we were in Virginia for 19 years. So she's 28 now. Anyway, I was getting to the bag, by any means necessary. And so, with all of that, let me see what what I learned. So mainly when it goes back to the beauty supply store and me managing the beauty supply store, I really learned the value of customer service. Those ladies that came in there, even the men that came in there to get their barber thing, they loved me. Like, I just realized that I love people. Like, I love conversing. I love just being myself and engaging in conversations and making people feel good and helping people with whatever their challenge is, right? Like helping them get to wherever they want to get to. Like, I learned that. I was like, oh, this is so fun, you know, and then managing the employees, making sure that everybody got paid and making sure everybody was following the rules that were established and just kind of leading the beauty supply store to financial success, even though it was already successful, but just being a part of that journey of the upward mobility of that Black owned beauty supply store meant a lot to me. And I also learned too from the owner how you should treat your employees. Like, your employees are your biggest asset. And that's why I have been able to build such an amazing team. Now, of course, a lot of people, especially assistants seem to come and go. I have no idea. Everybody I know that's successful talks about their assistants, how they come and go, right? But I've had some great assistants. I still do have some great team members. Literally, my CFO has worked for me for, I would say 16 to 17 years. She actually started out as I don't want to know what I would call her. She was my office assistant at my dance school that I later opened. And now she, you know, is my CFO. And there's nobody else that I would trust with my finances to be all up in my business like her. You know, so many people that are on my team have been with me for a long time because I learned the value in treating people right, you know, making sure they understand what to do in the protocol, but then showing empathy that these people are human. These people are human beings. They have real issues. They have real challenges. They have real things going on that I need to not be aware of, but be understanding of. And so that was my biggest lesson there. And how, you know, again, I've, so many people that have come to my events, they like big people, you know, big names, people who've been around the block. They always tell me how amazing my teams are. And they say, you know, you can really tell a lot about a person by their team. You know, they was like, you can really tell a great leader. And so I take pride in that because I learned, you know, how important it is to do that from working from managing that beauty supply store.
No more chains holding me.
All right. So here I'm still in the big shift, right? So from all of that, I don't want to get into the whole story again, because I've shared this so many times of how I ended up owning and operating a very successful dance school in Fredericksburg, Virginia for 10 years. I don't even want to get into that, but I do want to say this. When my daughter was 10, she was looking for a dance school to do hip hop, and we couldn't find any in our area. Okay. So we put her in a cheerleading, little cheerleading thing that I saw in one of the magazines that came to your home. And I was like, oh, okay, you could do that. They do cheerleaders. They dance, right? And so they were saying they did hip hop and jazz and cheer. And so she did it. And I was like, this is not hip hop, right? But it was fun. She was 10, 11, whatever. But what I learned was the woman that was running that company was very genius in what she was doing, just like a lot of other people who had different programs for kids, you know, karate and things like that. What they would do is they would rent out the local parks and rec facilities, and they would come in and rent the facility for $20 an hour. And they would hire cheerleaders from the high schools, like the captains or whatever, and pay them probably nothing, you know, close to nothing. This particular woman, her daughter was on the cheer, so she did most of the teaching. And the woman, we was paying her like $500. So me, as an entrepreneur who's always thinking about what's the fastest way to the freaking cash, I was like, oh, okay, well, since there's not a hip hop dance here in the area, because I went to every single one of them dance schools that claimed to be doing hip hop, none of it was hip hop. I still don't think they got no real hip hop classes there in the area. And if you do, finally, thank you. I'm glad that we set the mark for y'all. I'm glad that we led the way. They won't give me credit though, but so, and I'm just being real. So I was like, hold on, this is some money right here. I'm counting how many students, and I'm counting $20. So guess what I did? I said, well, let me go ahead and find me some hip hop, dancers. I went to the colleges, got me some people, paid them, I think, $20-$25 per class per hour. Rented out the same. No, I rented out a different room because I needed mirrors. Rented out a room for $20 an hour, mind you. So I'm paying about $45 an hour, and I have about 30 to 40 kids. No, each class I had about 20 to 25 per class, paying me about $250 to $350 for 6 weeks. And I had back to back multiple classes going on. So I'm making a lot of money, right? And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then my daughter, she's making friends. And then I'm gaining popularity in the area. Like, people are becoming familiar with Ari Squires. Like, who's this Ari Squires? Because I'm not from there. Like, who's Ari Squires? And it was just a beautiful thing. We would do so many events around the community. We would do coat drives and food drives, and have these shows and invite people out and just bring some culture to this area that didn't have much culture, in my opinion. Okay, I'm speaking on how I felt about the area. And the reason why we moved to Fredericksburg is because it was a halfway mark between DC, where I was going to college, and Richmond, where my husband was working in radio. And because my uncle let us stay in his girlfriend's townhouse for $900 a month. And so it just worked out really well. And so I literally, y'all, I came in that community and met some people. I hired some assistants. I just grew my brand, this had some amazing shows, brought some celebrities into town. I just did a lot in that area. But I was just being myself, this person who likes people, this person who likes to, I kind of mixed the party, with the culture and, that kind of thing. I just I just made things fun.
No more chains holding me.
So let me tell you how it can get so grimy when you're successful. People want what you want. A lot of people will claim that they're proud of you. A lot of people want to be attached to you because, people want to kind of attach to greatness, but people also want to use you. They want to learn from you and so they can steal from you and try to copy what you're doing. Or sometimes, because I'm the type of person where I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to build my brand and to build my businesses, there's a lot of things that I won't tolerate. I won't tolerate someone not operating in excellence if their name is attached to. If you work for me or with me, we have to work in excellency at all times. Of course, there's going to be, always room for failure. There's going to be mistakes. Nothing's going to be perfect, but there's a certain level, and so a lot of times people they can't handle that. A lot of people, sometimes don't like no one to tell them where they have some flaws. Me, I love it. Criticize me all the way. Please help me, please. Right? I don't care if you're right or wrong. Please criticize me, because it helps me become stronger. It helps me become better. And everybody's going to have a different opinion, right? So anyway, in that process, I had quite a few employees that I hired. Now, mind you, I didn't know anything about dance schools, performing arts schools, acting, modeling, nothing. But I had all that stuff going on. We had a gym, we had piano lessons, we had acting classes, we had modeling classes, all that stuff. Mind you, I'm a tomboy, so I didn't know how to do none of that stuff, but I had to learn because I had employees who weren't showing up for work. So guess what I had to do? 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, and 8. I had to learn how to teach these kids how to dance. Cause look, it had my name on the marquee. You hear me? But I'm a quick learner, and this is my brand. This is what I want to do for the people. This is what I wanted to do for myself. This is what I want to do for my daughter, right? So I was going to get in there and get to stepping. You hear me? Stomping, whatever we had to do. But even the first place, so after I was renting in the Parks and Rec facility, it was time to expand because the adults wanted me to do classes for them. People were asking me to do all these different types of salsa and African and belly dance, and they just didn't have. I'm renting from someone else. So again, going back to getting your own shit. So what I did was saved up my coins. Mind you, I'm still working. I had graduated from college and I'm working at a really good job. My boss was so cool. Shout out to Niall. Shout out. That was the best boss I ever had. He was so cool, so understanding. I used to hear him in his office saying, fuck. He had a very stressful position. I tried my best. Anyway, I was the office manager there as well. Anyway, I'm still working a job, working just like many of y'all. This was back in 2003, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stack all my money. I ain't spending it on nothing. I ain't going shopping. I'm not buying no new furniture. I'm not doing nothing. And then my mom passed away and she left me some money. She told me what she wanted to do with the money. What me and my husband do with the money was to, cause we had a house that had, I think it was 5 acres. And so she wanted us to expand on that land. But instead, my husband really wanted to sell the house and buy a bigger home for us where we can run our businesses. And that's what we did. But I took a little bit of that money and I put it down for the down payment in the first 3 months rent for a dance studio. And it was so nice. And it was right above a dance wear store where they sold ballet shoes, where they sold, the little tights and stuff. It was for ballet, right? Because mind you, wasn't no hip hop dance in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Okay. So, they didn't even sell dance sneakers until I came around. So anyway, I did a 2-year lease and the lady saw that I was being successful. Now, mind you, her daughter is a dancer at another dance school. And so this lady, damn near, once my lease was coming up, she saw how successful. I'm telling you, within no time, I was making well over 6 figures. I was doing, because I came into a community that didn't have nothing, in my opinion, no shade. And I'm bringing some culture, and these people were thirsty and they were hungry for it. And I was making it fun and inspiring and empowering, because I was not only doing that, I was hosting teen summits for children, for girls and boys. I was doing a lot of stuff in that community, had a nonprofit organization, all of that. So she ended up almost doubling, saying she was going to double my rent. And that if I left, her daughter, or when I left, her daughter was going to use the dance school, because I was behind her. I was behind her building upstairs. Same building. It was a huge building that she owned and bought, and and after I done invested so much money for the dance floor, the real dance floors with the cushions on the bottom of the wood, the mirrors, I paid thousands of dollars for those mirrors. I had it redone. My husband and I forgot his name, came in and did work on the studio for me and just painted and brought this place to life. So what you think my lesson was there? Get my own shit. So I left. And when I left, I didn't really have nowhere to go. I couldn't pay. I was already paying at least, I don't even know my overhead. Who knows? It was too much. So I went through some struggling pains. I had to move into this old raggedy ass studio, which was right next door, who they had went out of business. And, we probably put them out of business. No shade, but real talk. And, I just went over there. It was dirty. It was nasty. It was a bad time for me. It was a very bad time for me. And I was there for a year, and then I moved into another facility, which was a sports center, and really at that time got some mentorship. So my business on the outside looked like it was doing really good, y'all, but it wasn't doing as good as it was when I first started, because all the moving and the transition and, all the depression and, just trying to rebuild and just keep things moving, acting like things were still popping when they really weren't, it was tough. So at that time, the person that was renting me the sports facility, he was like, I really love what you're doing, Ari. I want to invest some money in your business, right? And he was like, bring me your business plan. And of course, I didn't have one. So he mentored me and helped me put a business plan together. He told me that I was playing too small. That was the first time somebody ever told me that, because I had always been the one where people are always like, yes, man, yes, ma'am, that kind of thing, and it was really, I really liked that he told me like, yeah, okay, you're playing too small. You have so much more potential, right? So that really pushed me. But going backwards a little bit with the employees and the parents, even at the dance school, there was some of my employees who went off and tried to start their own thing. But what they did was they stole my name, the name of whatever the name of my class was. They stole the name. They tried to steal the whole business model that I created, because I ain't never been in no dance school before. So I created this from scratch. This was my business model, trying to take it and duplicate it. But guess what? Grand opening, grand closing. Because the thing is, it takes a certain type of mindset. It takes a certain type of, like I was saying before, resiliency to do this. It ain't for everybody. Yes, I make it at that time for sure. I made it look real easy, but nobody knows how many nights I cried. Nobody knows how many customers we had to chase down for $40 a month, for $100 a month. Nobody knows the times that the lights almost got cut off. Nobody knows about that stuff, right? So, but it, I walk in with my heels on and everybody's saying hello, and I have a lot of respect in the community, but they think they can have that too. And then they get mad at you because it wasn't a success, right? So that's just some stuff. I told you I was going to tell y'all the ugly, right? And I'm telling my side of the story, okay? Y'all know there's more sides, of course, right? But I'm telling you my side, my experience with the story and what I saw. And so then, bringing managers in and, them coming in and wanting to take over the business and run the business as if it was theirs, because they've always had a dream of wanting to own their own dance school, and they think that your company is their time to do so. Just a lot of crazy stuff that you have to like put your foot down and say, you know what? Hold on. I have built this brand. I have put too much money, too much blood, too much sweat, too much tears into this to let somebody take it away from me. So those were just some of the ups and downs. So when I was at the sports booth, moving around, trying to get back, somewhere that could be mine, my mentor, he became my mentor. He helped me. He was like, okay, we're going to meet every Monday at 12 noon, which is now every Monday. I have my team meetings at 12 noon, and we're going to work on this business plan. Do you know I finally had structure? I finally had an exit plan. I finally had a marketing strategy. I finally had an operations plan. I had a financial plan, because when I opened up that dance school, I didn't have none of that. When I was doing all those side hustles with the drugs and and the entertainment business and selling to Mary Kay and all that other stuff I was doing, every other business that I started prior to that I haven't even talked about, I didn't have no plan. I just went in with grit. I went in with determination, and I had success, but it was not sustainable success. That's why I tell you, anybody can start a business and have some success. My son did a t-shirt business. First 2 weeks he was popping. But just like most entrepreneurs, that stuff sizzles right on down, right? Because people do not have plans and they think it's easy, right? They think it's easy, or there's something going on. I'm telling you, that changed the game for me, actually having a strategy. So I was like, oh my God, thank you. So I moved from that place because it got shut down. And then I was finally able, I'm telling y'all, there's so many things happen. Oh God. Oh my God. Let me just say this really quick, because this was just such a blessing. So while I was at that sports center, I was renting a room. It wasn't no room. I was renting a space, and Very active too. Very, very dope. We was doing Zumba parties. We had it going on. Okay. We had it going on. When I say we had it going on. It was during the recession. So now this is around 2007, 2008. So me and my husband went through a really, really, really difficult time. His businesses were struggling. Mine was struggling. We was like, what are we going to do? I didn't have no money. My business was barely making it. It was just barely making it. But you couldn't tell from the outside. But if you were in the inside, woo. It was tough, but I still pressed through every day. I got up every day and did what I was supposed to do. I got up every day and I didn't lose hope. I got up every day and made some things happen in that business, because I knew the potential that it had, and I believed in it, and I knew it was something that the community needed. I knew it was making an impact, because one of the girls later on told me that she wanted to commit suicide, but thanks to that dance school, she didn't. But anyway, so I went and I was looking at some other places to lease, and then went to this one place, and it was like, I needed to give them like $3,000. I did not have $3,000. But do you know what happened? I got in my car, my phone. Now, mind you, my mom had passed. She had given us this money, but we bought a house. We put that money in the house. Lost all that. And I was like, where am I going to get $3,000? It was $3,000. Where am I going to get $3,000 at? I really need my own place, because the other place had closed down. I got a phone call from one of my mom's former friends. Guess what, y'all? My mom had loaned him, guess how much money? $3,000 many years ago. And he said, you know what? I was up here thinking that I didn't know how I can repay your mom back, because she's no longer with us. My mom passed in 2005. This was about 2007, 2008. I want to give you the money. How much? $3,000. What? Mind you, this person lived in Georgia. I lived in Virginia. I was like, oh my God, do you bank? Is there a Navy Federal Credit Union there? Could you put it in my account? How soon can you give it to me? Do you know that I need exactly $3,000 to move my business and start over? I'm telling you. And I moved into this little old ugly again shack, but I had to start over. But guess what? That $3,000, I'm telling you, when I flipped that, flip that thing. Flip. Because now I have my own space again. I can do what I want. Flipped it. And then guess what? A year later, got my own spot, 1,800 square feet. And I know I'm telling a lot, but I'm just telling you guys this because these are the highs and lows that you go through as an entrepreneur. This is my dirty journey, okay? This is my dirty journey that a lot of people don't know about. But I stayed in it. I didn't think, oh, this is going to happen overnight, or I didn't blame nobody if something didn't happen right. No, I took responsibility for everything. But I was like, how can I change what I'm doing to change this stuff to make it work? Because I know I have something great here and I love doing it. Whew, goodness, it wasn't always about the money. It was about just loving having the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And so I got my own place, y'all, and the rest is just history. The rest is history.
No more chains holding me.
Some of you guys I haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting. So I'm Ari Squires, and this is just something that I've been doing lately. You have to do that, and that's again changing your circle. Because if I want my masterminds to be powerful, I gotta have powerful people in the room. What happens is when you go in knowing that the deal is already done, your conversation is different. But I just love to pour, so I love people who are here for the knowledge, because I'm an open book. Anything you want to know, any resources, any connections, anything, I am an open book. That's just who I am. And basically what she's saying and what I'm saying too, and I think we all can agree, is that it boils down to you have to make some sacrifices at the end of the day. Because you have to, that's why I always say, where do you want to be 1, 3, and 5 years from now? Because if you have that goal written on paper on your little white sheet on your in your office or wherever you look at every day, you realize, okay, well, I have to make sacrifices if I want to get there. You know, I'm not saying don't sleep. We need our sleep, but I get plenty of sleep. But yeah, what sacrifices are you willing to take?
No more chains holding me.
All right, the transformation. I got help and tapped into my superpowers. So, as you know, owning the dance school was not my destiny. You hear me? That was not what I had envisioned for myself. And I didn't even talk about me and my best friend in Sacramento, California, how we were going to start a WIC store, right? A WIC store is a store that sells just WIC products, and people with their WIC vouchers can come in and get the WIC food, the cheese, the milk, the Infamil and things like that. That was a very successful business, and I knew that because I worked for the state, and I used to have to go around and investigate these companies. And so I had put up some money. I don't know where I got that money from, and put up the money on the building. This was while I was in Sacramento, California. Put the money before I met my husband. Put the money, this is after I got out of jail. Put the money up for the building. I paid for the refrigerator, the counter, the paint, and my best friend, and you know who you are. He was supposed to come up. Now his story gonna be so different. He was supposed to come up with the rest of the money to buy the products, right? That never happened. It never happened. And we still talk about to this day how rich we would be and how we would have all these private islands and all this stuff if he would have came through with his end of the deal. But anyway, it wasn't meant to be. However, now me and him, we're still best friends. He's super successful, has his own company. That's my dog, right? That's my dog. But anyway, anyway. So the transformation. So while I was operating this dance school, I started to not like it. It started to become after about the 8th year, I was like, after I had moved into the new building, the 1,800 square foot, or was it 2,800 square foot building? It was 1,800 because I had 3 different rooms and a gym in there. And we was killing it again. Now I'm back on top. Now I'm back 6 figures. Now I'm driving my dream car, doing all that stuff, right? Very successful, living in our dream home, just killing it, living a great life. You know what I'm saying? Great life. I had my son by then. All this great stuff was happening. But I was like, okay, hold on. I was at that dance school all the time because employees, sometimes they don't show up for work. I was there more than I was at home. And I started feeling like my marriage was in jeopardy. It just wasn't a good thing. I started no longer loving it anymore, and I felt drawn to do something else. And so people started asking me to help them with their businesses, and I did, and I started doing some classes and all that stuff, and I won't get into that too deep. But then I was on Facebook, and I saw this woman, this black woman, and she was just beautiful and just dope and had a lot of energy. And I was like, oh, okay. So she was having a conference, a 3-day conference. I ain't know her from nothing. I just saw the Facebook ad. She was having this conference in DC on women entrepreneurship and just killing it. I was like, oh, that's me. I need to be there. Paid me for my little ticket. I think it was $350 or something. Went for 3 days. I think you could bring a friend for like $100 or something. Brought one of my colleagues, and we went, and I was totally blown away because she was a business coach, and she was teaching people how to create systems in their business, market their businesses, and become successful. I was like, oh, okay, hold on. She has a model and a system that I need. Because here I am helping people with their businesses. I'm kind of coaching, you know what I mean? But when I'm coaching people, but when I decided to hire her as my coach at that time, I went in for the dance school and to become an author, because she was like, everybody needs a book. We got to have a book. This was in 2013, 2012, 13. She was like, you need a book. So, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you, that woman changed the game for me. She taught me how to be a coach. She taught me the systems, the marketing, the strategy, the business model, how to coach, how to even do applications, how to enroll people, like the whole business. Cause I ain't know nothing about no business coaching, but I knew that I could coach. I knew that I was giving people advice, and they was out there going and coming back and telling me how they were making money. Her same story as she had, I was like, we got so much in common. Love her to this day. I owe so much to her. And because she taught me the game of business coaching, and that changed it for me. I was like, okay. And so I was in my bed one night. She taught me how to do live events because I was doing events before that and not making no money. She was like, are you serious? I wasn't charging people enough money. She was like, are you serious? Let me tell you, she changed the game for me. And so I was like, I don't know. So one night I was laying in bed and, let me tell you about that part. So about not charging people enough money. I'm telling you, I was literally charging women $27 a month for a 12-month mastermind. And do you know, I had to chase some of them women down for that $27 a month. I said, it's got to be a better way. But that's how it is, entrepreneurs, man. I'm telling you, it's like a constant chase sometimes. It's not, and I don't mean like chase like I'm chasing money, but like when you have a lot of customers or you have some customers, sometimes they don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you. There's a lot of times you will not get paid. There's a lot of times where the invoices won't get paid. There's a lot of times where multiple invoices won't get paid. There's a lot of times where you will have to send collection letters. There's a lot of times you'll need to take people to court to get your money if it's necessary. It's not always necessary. Of course, some things ain't worth your time, energy, but some things, I'm going to take your ass to court. Right? I'm going to take your ass to court. And I've won every case. But that's because people are shady. Those are the thing where people don't want to take responsibility for their non-actions and things like that. Right? And I'm just going off of what the judge said. I won. So she taught me. So I was like, So one day I was asleep. It was late at night and I was asleep. And then I just, boom, woke up and I said, I'm about to close my dance school. My business was making well over 6 figures. I had 12 employees. We were doing very well. My lease had about 6 months left because I did a 3-year lease. I said, I'm about to close my dance school. I want to do business coaching full time. I want to do live events. I want to do a tour and tutor. I want to do pretty much what my coach was doing in a way, but different, right? Put my own little touch to it, making it mine, right? And I was like, I'm about to close it. And I did. Do you know how much relief I had? Other people were like, what? Are you serious? Especially after all I put into it for the last 9.5 years, right? It was a staple in that area. It had brought me, I have met one of my best friends, from that. It was like family now. It was a journey, but it was time to release it so I can move on to things that I enjoy doing more. And that's entrepreneurship. That's sitting here right now speaking to you with these 2 cameras that I don't know how it's going to turn out because I'm doing this by myself. I don't have no production assistant here. I'm hoping that everything is working, right? But I knew that I wanted to do something more that I enjoyed that gave me even more freedom because I was at that studio every single day. So I closed it. I sent out the letter, let everybody know this is the last recital. This is it. But guess what? Because I had my mentor from the sports center that taught me how to put a business plan together, a marketing plan, operations plan, financial plan, I started putting my plan together. Because I had my business coach that taught me how to run a successful coach. Hers was multi-million-dollar. So I had all of this in place. So I just put it all together and I started working it while I still had the dance school, while I was going through the closing of the dance school, selling everything and going through the grief of, no longer having the dance school, because it was so much we did there, even with my nonprofit. It was so much. And so much history, so much emotion, so many friendships and a lot of fake friendships too. But so many people I was able to connect with on there. So many people, man, so many people that I'm even friends with online from that journey. But it was time to let it go.
No more chains holding me.
So whenever there is a letting go process, what I've learned through my own personal journey, when you let things go, you notice that other things that are not meant for you in your life is also going to leave too, right? And you think that it's something you got to hold on to, but then you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, that feel good. I'm feeling good. As it's going away, you're like, hold on, that feel kind of good, releasing itself. But I had went through a very, very painful journey. I started a company with a group of females that were all connected through me. Like I was the center. I was the one that everybody, like none of them knew each other. You know what I'm saying? They knew each other through me, and we have formed this, sisterhood. Well, this organization and a sisterhood. A couple of the ladies I was extremely, extremely close to. And, in your journey of climbing up the ladder, what you'll start to see and notice is like shade. You'll notice people saying certain things like that little business, or you always doing something. People always asking me, what are we doing? I'd be like, I don't know, that girl always doing something. You kind of notice, one of the sisters had said, "Oh God, you get to do all that? My husband would never let me do that." Just little things you hear, but you just don't really, and then you start realizing as things are starting to release itself on its own, that wasn't for you anyway, and that it wasn't supposed to be there. And it hurts because you have relationships with people and you love people and you care about people, but then you realize it wasn't meant to be anyway. And the signs were there in the first place, but it's still a grieving process when you have people in your life, or you've built something we built an organization together. We've empowered minds. We're changing people's lives. We're doing something great together, but yet you did and came together as a group to, try to have me fall. But what they got the wrong one. Right? They got the wrong one, because at the end of the day, no one can ever have anything to do with your growth or your failure but you. Right? But you're the only one, because you're the one that has to do the work. You're the one that has to keep your chin up. You're the one that has to keep moving. You're the one that has to keep your eye on the vision. You're the one that has to let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? Just be like, okay, I see what it is for what it is. So just know that that's going to happen. People that you think are for you, everybody that start with you is not going to finish with you. And that's something that I would love for people to know ahead of time. I tell my son about this all the time. Like, yeah, you're going to have friends. You're going to have people you love and relationships, but know that, everybody is there for a season and for a reason. And mainly there's lessons, there's memories, there's moments, there's good times. Because we had some great times, some great laughter, some great joy that I'll never forget. However, I'm telling you, I think there was a song by Sweetie. She said, "Ever since I left you, I've been winning." Ever since I left you, I've been winning. And that's exactly how it is. We feel like we need something in our lives sometimes, but at the end of the day, when things are releasing themselves, let them go. You hear me? Let them go.
No more chains holding me.
So this particular woman wasn't my only coach. From there, I ended up investing in one of her coaches. And I'm telling you, from there, oh my God, this man literally changed the game for me, because he taught me how to, market better. He really helped me with boundaries. He really helped me with business structure. And a lot of it I just learned from watching, because see, you got to remember, I'm a natural hustler. I'm a natural entrepreneur. So I can really learn from watching very closely. You can't watch. Now, let me say this. You cannot watch and learn from somebody from the outside. And that's what a lot of people are doing on social media. That's why everybody looks the same and sound the same and doing the same, right? Because instead of them investing their money into learning the behind the scenes stuff, they're copying or mimicking the stuff that they see. You get what I'm saying? So when the lady was doing the cheer, I had invested, so I could see the emails, the process, and I was like, oh, okay. You get what I'm saying? So when I invested with this man, I was able to see how he was able to do $1 million behind at an event in the back of the room. Because I'm on the inside, and it's totally different than what we all see on the outside. Right? So being on the inside with him for 2 years as my coach, I'm telling you, this man literally helped me go from 6 to 7 figures, from my events doing 5,000, 10,000 to 50,000, 100,000. You get what I'm saying? So it's levels to your growth. But you got to start somewhere. You have to invest in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to release some people. You have to go through the dirty, grimy stuff, the hurt, the pain, the losses. You have to go through that. Like, that's a part of the process. Don't give up. Don't make excuses. Please, take responsibility for everything. Anything that's ever happened to me. I remember I had invested and gave this man some money because he was supposed to bring this celebrity into town for me. He got me. It wasn't that much, but like I said, if it's $3, I'm pissed. Because I don't like nobody to get over on me. I take that personally. It's disrespectful. But it was enough. It was probably $300 to $900. I gave him a deposit, and this man stole my money and then had the nerve to send me a picture of my money that he got that he wasn't going to give to me. But you know what? I didn't blame him. I didn't say it was, his fault. I took responsibility for what did I do? What red flag did I ignore from this motherfucker that I didn't see to give this motherfucker my money? There wasn't no contract. The contract looked fake, and I knew it looked kind of shady. Like these things. It happens to the best of us. And it will happen to you on your journey multiple times, right? But it's always a lesson from this. Now I got lawyers. Now I'm like, hold on, now I'm doing a negotiation. I'm not letting nobody, necessarily, depends now, represent me when it comes to certain things. I'm the face of the brand. I'm the one reaching out to the celeb or whoever it is that I need to reach out to, because I need to build that relationship myself, right? And I don't trust nobody more than I trust myself. Nobody. And so that's just a part of business. But again, man, he taught me so much. He taught me really about how to get to the bag, literally, like I said, from 6 figures to 7 figures. And I will be forever grateful for him and the part that he played in my growth. Even the things that I didn't necessarily like, you know what I'm saying? I still learned from that as well. It was just so amazing. Just this journey, this evolution of coming into my own company as a thriving, successful, sought after author, sought after business coach, with my coaching programs being sold out, waiting lists, et cetera, et cetera. I learned from him.
No more chains holding me.
So still on this transformation, getting help and tapping into my superpowers. So a part of that process and working with these 2 amazing business coaches, I was able to actually meet some of their very high profile, multi-million-dollar mentors and entrepreneurs and invite them on my stages. And many of them have become great mentors to me, friends of mine. They've invited me into their homes and assisted me with deals and connections. I mean, very high profile. These people are worth 400 million and more, and got me into some masterminds and some rooms that girl that was in that jail cell never would have imagined that she would be in. The conversations that I've had, the network that I have, the people I get to pick up the phone and call, and they will pick up the phone and put me in rooms and at tables and give me advice and check on me and, send love and support and, all of these amazing things I never would have thought. And so that whole journey with my mentors and being in this high level affluent network has really taught me that relationships are everything. I mean, everything in business.
No more chains holding me.
All right. So the final part of this ugly journey to reclaiming my destiny is that next level. So of course I haven't been able to tell everything because there's just so much. We'll be here all day long. But I did want to share, when people speak life and possibility into you, you have to listen, because that's when you will dive into your next level or grow into your next level. A lot of times we think that we have all the answers. We think we know it all. We think can't nobody tell us nothing. We feel like we got this under control, And so I was having a conversation with another mentor of mine, and he told me that, again, I was playing too small. Here I am, on my way to 7 figures at this time, super successful in my business. Teams are doing well. Things are just, doing really good, right? And he told me that he saw me doing something else, something bigger, something grander. He said, I see you like mentoring or training your own coaches and having your own, team of coaches. So you don't have to, work so hard in what you do. And he just really started pouring into me this new possibility and then another friend of mine told me that every 10 years or so, you want to kind of reinvent yourself. And he shared with me his journey of how he reinvents himself every 10 years. I was like, wow, that's kind of dope. And it's something that I just I don't know. I felt it was a part of my evolution. I'm always evolving. I'm always reinventing. I'm always trailblazing and doing something unique and different that just fits well with me as an entrepreneur and as a human and as a brand. And so when people are pouring into you, listen. You don't have to take everything, but listen, because they see something in you. Just like my husband, when I met him, while I was going through so much. I met my husband, I was homeless, but he saw some greatness in me that I really didn't see. I didn't know how to tap into it, but he helped me tap into it. And a lot of times people will come into your life who love you, who are real friends, who really want the best of you. Not those people that are always saying your little business or you always into something or kind of have this little negative energy towards what you're doing. You know what I mean? Not those kind of people, but the people who really love you. Those are the people that pour into you, not the people that's always trying to get something from you. So because of that, I was able to establish what I have now, which is the Profit Attraction Academy Collective, which is my team of coaches, my team of content creators, my team of graphic artists, my team of video editors and video production teams. And so I now have this whole organization, this real company that's structured, really assisting 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs go into their next level by bringing me on as their team, me and my team on because I'm the face of the brand. So that's why I say me, but I have a whole army behind me that's really doing big things for entrepreneurs, helping them bring more brand awareness to what they're doing in this world. And so I just look at it and I just be like, who would have thunk it? I've set up a business in my home, crossed over 7 figures. I'm helping so many people, and I have several other businesses that are silently making money that you'll never hear me talk about, because I know how to take that corporation that I talked about before and create LLCs under it and have all of them generate money, whether silently or loudly, right? Because this is a loud brand. This Release the Chains brand is loud. It's out in the community. It's out in the world. It's on YouTube. It's on all of these streaming platforms, right? This is how I'm connecting with you through my love of helping people and empowering people and changing lives, because that's always what I want to do, just inspire people. So I thank you so much for listening to this long journey. Hopefully you've gotten some lessons from this. Hopefully you'll get some blessings for this. Just know that you are responsible for where you want to go in your destiny. You can start over. You can mess up. You can drop the ball, fumble. You can lose everything. I've lost everything multiple times, but still have always been able to pick myself up and regain and rebuild, restructure, and reclaim my destiny. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.
No